Hello, my name is Simon Ogwal Bienek, a graduate of forestry. I have been in clonal eucalyptus production since 2009. When someone wants to establish a nursery for producing hybrid clones, he needs 4 things. He needs a mother garden, well managed, with at least 5 clone types. Then he needs a production house where the cuttings are made in preparation for transportation to a greenhouse. After having a greenhouse, he needs a holding section where the plants are well displayed. In each of those sections of a nursery, there are operations we conduct to ensure that the final product is of good quality and gives value for money for a client. Let's begin with the mother garden. A mother garden, it should be well spaced and well arranged. It should have at least 5 clone types. In Uganda, we are producing GC796, we are producing some GC540, we are producing GU8 and GU7. Your mother garden should be properly maintained, well nourished, and well watered. We need to keep the garden nourished with NPK, diammonium phosphate, calcium ammonium nitrate, and some bit of lime. We apply this every 3 months to give the macronutrients a coppice needs to produce for us good cuttings. A mother garden is visited every 11 to 15 days to get good quality seedlings. Any new planting materials being introduced into this country, it must undergo trials. So these clones were tested in different agricultural zones of the country to see whether they will survive in the country, will they perform very well, and how many of them are actually suitable for our areas. Basing on research data, we have been able to produce basically 4 types of clones in the country. 5. GU7, GU8, GC796, GC550, GC540. In my nursery, I think I have about 7 types. I kept all that germplasm here. You never know in the future when we will need it. We can't throw away our planting material. So when you come here and you tell me where you are going to plant, I will know. I will write my research data and say, okay, you're going to Kabarole. Let's take that the GU8. You're going to Kitugum Matidi. That's a very dry area close to Karamoja. Please go and try 540 GC, try GC796, try GC550. Depending on the stock I have available, then I'll tell you, go and plant there. It is very important to match your site with the recommended clone for your site. Some of us get excited. We visit our friends in Mukono, in Masaka. You see there are very big trees, and you say, I also want to take my trees to Karamoja, and they look like this. You're outmatching these trees. Take what is suitable for you. The ones in Mukono have a lot of rainfall, the soils are deep, they don't have a prolonged drought like those ones in most of northern Uganda. Their trees are going to look very beautiful because they are located near a major water body. On the day of harvesting, the coppices that are picked from the mother garden are brought to this production house. It is in this production house that we conduct the operations on the coppice. We clip it into about 10 inches with a pair of halved leaves, and this room is called the production house because it has a cool environment. You have detached the coppice from its mother. It is bleeding the plant blood out. You don't want to lose that plant blood, so you bring it here in buckets of water and you start clipping. This production house is also used on days of no production for potting like these ladies are doing. This is the pot we use. It is a 2-inch pot. It is filled with red soil, sand substrate at halfway. Then the bottom part is filled with forest soil. So potting is done here, production is done here, and it's a good environment for the workers to do their routine jobs when it is when it is hot outside. So basically that's what we do in the production house. In a nursery, to successfully root a cutting, you need what we call a rooting substrate. In my training, there is a substrate called crushed pine bark. There is a substrate called vermiculite. And then we have this local available one, a mixture of subsoil and sieved lake sand. If you want your cutting to root successfully when you take it to the greenhouse, you need to mix this soil in the proper ratios. In this nursery, we mix at a ratio of 1 part red soil, 1 part sieved lake sand. You make sure you mix it so well, you put the right amount of water in it, so that when you hold it in your palms, it easily crushes. If you hold it and it does not crush easily, you have over-compacted it. There's going to be very poor translocation of water once it is in the greenhouse, and the rooting will not take place properly. This is our greenhouse. A greenhouse is covered with an agricultural grade shade net. This agricultural grade shade net comes in percentages. The proper percentage net depends also on your location. If you're in a humid area, you need a light one. If you are in an area which receives a lot of sunshine, I would recommend you get about 60 to 70% agricultural shade net from reputable agro input dealers in Kampala. This shade net cuts off excess light that the new cutting that is very vulnerable to damage from excessive heat cuts off the light so that it is ambient enough for it to start rooting. This greenhouse shade net should have at least 3 meters height. You can run as much length and width as you want depending on your capacity to utilize the facility. Before production takes place, ensure that your tunnels, this structure you see here is called a tunnel, is properly placed with the pots, with the red side facing up, and then you bring a bucket that we place in the middle here. We fill it with water. On the day of production, they're supposed to be 2. You fill it with water. Then you pour about 8 watering cans of water on these pots to make it soft. Remember the sand we talked about? It helps the water to gently flow down the pot. After you have poured the water, you mix a solution of sulfuric acid. We normally pick 10 mils of concentrated sulfuric acid. We pour it in 20 liters of water and we pour here. The sulfuric acid will create the right pH for the cutting to be able to develop roots once it is here. So once they put the cuttings inside here, we have to cover with a 200 micron gauge transparent white polythene to allow the light in, and then we cover it for 30 days, but every 2 or 3 days, after 3 days you come and open, you check, is there a problem? You can even top up with more water. The purpose of the water in this bucket is to allow for evaporation to take place within this tunnel once it is covered. That evaporation creates the right humidity for this cutting, which is here, to be able to produce roots and the shoots. We also use 8% or 6% endobutyric acid rooting hormone, which we dip at the bottom end of the cutting and insert right in the middle of the pot. When you are putting that cutting inside these pots, you put right in the center. Don't push it on the side, it doesn't look nice, and also the roots develop better when you place it in the center. This is how our tunnel looks like. At 2 weeks, the humidity is just right. The pH is right. Our cuttings start to get shoots. Okay? Every 2-3 days, the ladies come, they open with a watering can or with a knapsack sprayer and spray on the surface of these leaves. These leaves should never be allowed to dry. Otherwise, you will lose the plant sap which is in the what? In the cutting. That's why we always have to keep it moist. Every time. It will be very successful. This is our GU8 plant. Okay. Many of them don't make it also, they die. Alright, you can't get 100%, but if you have about 80% for GU, you can go to church and say, Hail Mary, full of grace. You have achieved a lot. They're a bit difficult to root. They pick up with the time. Those ones who are going to have nurseries, the first 2 cuttings you're going to make will refuse. But as you continue picking from the garden and the garden is maturing, you'll be able to get successful rooting. Please let me emphasize this. If you are going to run a nursery for production of GU, the first 3 or 4 times you harvest from your new mother garden, you are going to get disastrous rooting. In fact, we advise nursery operators that you cut those coppices and you waste them, just throw them on the ground. First one, waste. Second one, waste. Third one, try. Fourth one, yes. That is when you will get at least 70% rooting. After 2 weeks, these pots start developing roots. At 4 weeks, you are free as a nursery operator to come and pull out one and check. You see, this has rooted. The cutting was placed up here in the red soil. It developed roots, which roots have now come to feed in the black soil, which is at the bottom of the pot, and now the roots are showing. This cutting is not yet ready for the customer to take to the field. We open this tunnel like this for about 2 weeks so that they start getting used to field conditions under a shade net. Some nursery operators, because they want money, they come and clean this today and pack it in the vehicle for a client. They will be shocked. By the time you reach Mitiana, the plant has collapsed. Okay? So these original leaves are still there. It is not yet ready. We clip these after we have taken them outside. 40 days in the greenhouse, the plantlets are now brought out into the open sun. When they were in the greenhouse, they had a pair of leaves attached here that they came with from the mother garden. Those pair of leaves helped with the feeding through photosynthesis and the transpiration. When they reach here, we remove what we clean them off and we get the seedling ready for the field. In the grow out section, also referred to as the hardening section, we now start deliberately regulating the amount of water we give these plants and the amount of nutrients we give these plants. We regulate the water so that they become harder. In case they are planted out in the field and there is no rain, they are not shocked. All the shocking process takes place here now. This is also another stage where we do quality control. We try to avoid branches from slipping through in this section. This is what they call a branch. When I put my hand in the background like this, you notice that all the leaf surfaces are facing the camera. There is none that is facing in a different direction. When I take this seedling to the field and plant it out, it will grow, but it will never achieve a very big volume because in its genetic makeup it is a branch. Please be careful when you go to buy your seedlings. If it were possible, go and sort those seedlings. Don't sit in your vehicle and be comfortable on the phone. Go and see each seedling that is picked. Deny them the chance to sell you the branches. This is a branch. When you look at this one, this is a proper seedling. This seedling, this leaf surface is facing Liantonde. This one is facing Isingio. This one is facing Cavalry. This one goes to Lira and this one goes to Namutumba. The leaves must be in different orientations. This is a proper seedling that you should look out for. Task the nursery operator to give you a proper seedling so that you get value for money. At Blue Gum Nurseries, We pride ourselves in producing the best, and we are very willing to give you the best product so that you have value for your money. Each GC seedling goes for 500 shillings and the GU seedling goes for 700 shillings. However, if you book early in the dry season, we can give you a discount, because why not? You are our clients and we must coexist. This is a branch. When I put my hand here like this, the surface of those leaves are facing the camera. They face you when you look at them. A proper seedling should not be like this. The leaves must face different directions. Be on the lookout for this. Many of them slip through these roadside nurseries. And when you plant them out, you look at your plantation and say, but why is this one small? Why is this one big? Why do I have so many small ones and very few big ones? Those very small ones are branches that you purchased from a nursery, probably because you are not keen, or you bought them so cheaply. This is a proper plantlet. The leaves are facing different directions. See that? Notice how my hand is changing positions, okay? And then when you also go to buy a clone, please watch out for this section that is bent. This is the first indicator that this is a clone. It was produced from another cutting. The seedlings which they are deceiving you on the roadside are clones, are usually straight without this bent part. Look out for this. This is the first flag you should look out for. And then the right size, also the height of the seedling. Please don't buy very short seedlings. They will be shocked on the way. Okay? It is very paramount to have a reliable water source in your nursery. It is also very important to have adequate storage facility for water. A nursery at the bare minimum should have 10,000 liters of water. That can take you for about 7 days in case you have challenges with the source of water. One, you have the water source, and then you have the storage capacity. And then also you have the means to take the water close to the different sections of the nursery. You must pipe water to the production house. You must pipe water to the greenhouse. You must pipe water to the holding section. You must make sure it is convenient for your workers to easily look after the seedlings in the nursery. I have been consulted by tree growers on the issue of thinning. One, eucalyptus needs timely thinning. I would recommend that you thin your plantation at 2.5 to 3 years. Eucalyptus trees do not respond to late thinning. They will not gain volume. So you need to thin on time. As a rule of thumb, go to your plantation and count 4 trees to your left, then 4 trees to your right, so that you have a plot of 16 trees. Now, remove 6 of the worst looking trees. Remove trees which are crooked. Remove trees that have broken tops. Remove trees that look like they are diseased. Then remove trees whose canopy is touching. That is the rule we follow. Now, if all the 16 trees are good, please go through the painful exercise and remove all the 6 good trees. Okay? They are all the same size, they are all looking nice, but you can't leave them there. Remove any 6 trees in any direction in that plot so that you remain with 10. Okay? If you leave those trees to grow as 16, they are just going to compete for light upwards and they will not get volume. The purpose of thinning is to create space for the other good-looking trees to get a very good round ball, which you will enjoy when you harvest your timber or you'll have a straight pole that they will come and pick for electricity transmission. So please, you can't dodge thinning. You are doing yourself a disservice, and don't do it late. If you don't have the right person to do it for you, contact us at Blue Gum Nurseries. I will drive over with my team. We will mark for you those trees. Then we will tell you, now go and look for a buyer who is interested in buying building poles or scaffolds, and tell him, I am selling the trees that are marked by Mr. Ogwal. Those are the ones recommended for thinning. Then he will buy and take them away for you. Welcome to Blue Gum Nurseries, Seta Mukono. My name is Simon Ogwal Bienek, a graduate of forestry. I have been in this clonal business since 2001, when I graduated and when I also started the trials, participated in the trials for these clones when they had been brought in the country. At Blue Gum Nurseries, we offer services. If you are too busy in your office, show us your land. We will come and plant for you the trees. We can have an agreement to look after those trees for 6 months, 8 months, or if you are okay, we only do the planting and you manage. We also train those who are interested in nursery establishment, nursery management, and the production of cuttings. You second 2 or 3 workers to us. We organize the logistics, and that person is attached to us for 3 months. Anything less than 3 months, they will not have land. They should be here right from establishment of the garden, harvesting, making the cuttings, looking after the tunnels, and when they root. We assign that group 2 tunnels that they must look after. If they have not achieved close to 90% rooting, they have failed. We have to keep repeating the process until they get the operations at their fingertips. As a conclusion, a nursery should have, 1, a mother garden where cuttings are picked and taken to a production house, which is convenient for clipping those coppices into cuttings that are carried to a greenhouse where they are placed in tunnels which have soil. They are kept there for 40 days, exposed to the sun for another 2 weeks, and then picked and taken to the holding section or hardening section, where we deliberately manipulate the nutrient and the moisture regimes in preparation for them to be taken to the field.